All right. Well, good morning, everybody. I'm Stephanie Dahl, and I'm one of the owners here at Dahl Fischer. And as you know, we practice in estate planning, business law, and criminal defense. Today, I have with me Odane Anderson. And Odane Anderson is a banker at First Citizens Bank. And Odane, why don't you tell us a little bit about what you do at First Citizens and who you are?
Oh, thank you for asking, Stephanie, and thank you for having me. Good morning, everyone. Again, my name is Odane Anderson, and I work for First Citizens Bank. I am a business banker here, and I've been here for the last 2 years. I've been in banking for over 10 years now. And at First Citizen, our goal is just mainly focusing on business clientele by truly taking the time to understand what their needs are and how we can help them prepare for the future. What makes us unique at First Citizen is more so that we're one of the largest family-controlled banks in the US today. And so family-owned businesses are dear to our heart in a sense that we want to focus on businesses where the owners are a part of it. If it's any corporation that has a lot of shareholders, it just doesn't jive well with our values and how we want to help people and how it replicates what we do on a day-to-day basis. And so we want to make sure that the owners are a part of it because no one is going to treat their business better than they do.
Absolutely. No, that's so true. Well, obviously right now is a little bit of a trying time for businesses, given everything that is going on with COVID-19 and everything. And I'm sure you are working around the clock to help your clients and the bank's clients. Let's talk a little bit about what is the EIDL and what is PPP, which everybody keeps hearing about. Probably at this point, a lot of business owners know, but what are those two? What are the main differences between the two? And how are you working with your clients on those?
So the EIDL is the economic, I keep forgetting the terminology for it, but it's disaster relief. Just remember that.
Yeah.
Now, and then the PPP is a payroll protection program loan. The major difference with it is that one is where you're able to get the funds forgiven up to a certain amount, and the other is based on a payment system. Another key difference with it is that one is based on credit. So to kind of give a full snapshot of it, with the EIDL, they do loan amounts up to 2 million. Okay. And how they do it, in a sense, it's a rate of 3.75%, and you have a term of up to 10 years. Now, the last thing I read about it was that they do it based on asking for the business owner's credit score, along with showing how the business cash flows. And they look at all those documents in terms of everything to help people out. Now, a part of the EIDL, there's what you call the Economic Injury Grant. I don't know if I got that fully right, but I know a part of it is right. In that grant, you can get a max of up to $10,000 that can be forgiven that you won't need to pay back. I don't know the specifics on how it's going to be forgiven because we're all trying to still work through that this day. And if I looked at the CARES Act again this weekend, and by golly, it just upsets me. So I won't even like make you guys look at it, just don't, because this was very upsetting.
Well, and I think you bring up a good point, Odane, is that it's all is changing so rapidly that this is what's occurring right now. And it could change tomorrow. It could change later today. We just don't know. We're all kind of waiting to see what Congress decides to do with everything.
That is true. And I hope it's good.
We all do.
Yeah. Now, with the PPP loan is going off of your average monthly payroll from January 1st of last year, 2019 until December 31st. Keep in mind, every bank has their own process and how they're doing this. And most people say, depending on the person that's looking at it, some people are going to say, well, this bank is wrong, this bank is right. I just want to say the bank is doing the best they can in their process to help make sure that their clients get the refund that is required at the end of the time frame. Now, with the PPP, it's nothing about credit. There's no guarantee or anything required. It's literally about documentation. And I try to tell people, like, no matter what the bank asks you for, submit it. Just please submit it. Just know that they're asking you for a lot because it's just so that they want to be protecting you as their client and put you in the best situation. I know a lot of people say, why is it harder than buying a house? And yes, it is harder than buying a house because you don't have to put up anything. Yeah. You just have to show documents. Now, another thing that's going to be very important, a lot of folks want to delay when they receive the PPP. Some institutions may do that, some may not. As I will try to tell people is that, let's say, for example, you got your funds today. Know that starting today, you have 6 to 8 weeks to use these funds. There is a situation that says that you have to use 75% of the amount you get on payroll, and no more than 25% can use for mortgage, interest, utilities, or etc. We don't know how that breaks down. We also don't know in terms of if you also laid off employees, how many of them you're supposed to bring back. There hasn't been given a wording for that. But do know that you have to show how it balances out your payroll of what it looked like the year before and what it's going to look like you using over the next 6 to 8 weeks in terms of forgiveness.
Absolutely. And I think you mentioned this in a call that we had, but that one of the smart things to do is if you get the funding and you get the funding to set up a separate account so that you can track all those numbers, so that when we get the guidelines about how this will be forgiven, when you can really truly show this is the money that came in and this is how it was exactly spent. Is that still kind of what you are advising your clients to do?
That is, yeah. I would advise everyone to do it. As I mentioned, it's literally about documentation. And if you do mix these funds up with your traditional operating account that you do everything else with, it's going to be hard to differentiate what went where.
Mm-hmm.
And so just please have a separate account for it. And I think it's just going to be good to show that, okay, you use it for everything. Just even if you can even have it say payroll, just so it's like right there in the government space, like payroll.
This is our PPP money.
Yes, even name the account PPP.
Right.
And the bank can do it for you. Whatever, to let them know that this was PPP, you should be good. Another important thing I want to share is that one of the biggest things that folks are saying, how other banks aren't taking on new relationships. In the Stimulus Act, there wasn't a requirement that said banks should only focus on their customers. I'll tell you that right now, it wasn't in there. What this is more so is about relationship. Banks are going to say, we want to take care of the people that has been banking with us, as opposed to try to take on other folks that we don't know what their relationship is going to be like. So I advise people, don't get mad on this if you're not with a bank that's doing it and your institution isn't. And they don't want to help you. It's not they don't want to help you, it's just that be mindful that they want to take care of their clients and their clients is their priority. Just as you as a business owner would want to make sure you take care of your current business before you seek new business.
Absolutely. And with these funds being limited, it's not an infinite supply that they can take on new clients and everything else. They want to make sure that their current clients get paid before they start trying to take on new clients and divert some of that money to new clients rather than their existing clients. So that makes sense. Tell me, and now one of the big differences also between these is that, and I think you just kind of alluded to it, is that with the PPP, that is something you apply through your bank. And there are some third-party lenders as well that you can apply through. Whereas the EIDL, that's directly on the SBA website that you go and apply through for that, correct?
That is correct, yes.
Okay, perfect. Is there anything else that has kind of come up or changed that you have been noticing that you think is important for business owners to know about right now?
Honestly, what I've been noticing is that whatever information you get, as long as it jives with everything that you've been hearing, take that information for the full truth that it is. If you're getting information and it comes from different sources and none of it balances out, take it with a grain of salt. Mainly because everything keeps changing. For example, I read something again in regards to the Stimulus Act that a part of it said, yes, these funds may be tax-free. But there are also certain parts of it where like, oh, you get to claim interest or depreciation. But then as it goes on, it's like, well, are we going to allow you to double dip at the end of the year when you file your taxes? And the government can do anything they want.
Yes.
So don't try to stress yourself right now trying to figure these things out. Just wait and see how everything comes along. I can let you know, good news is that another 250 billion is going to be possibly come into play, and hopefully that gets signed into effect today. What I can tell you is that here at First Citizens, we've been working the entire weekend just submitting more applications to SBA. On the banking realm, we're very upset because I think, in my opinion at least, we would hope that every bank would be assigned a specific dollar amount, because then there'd be guidance of like of what they can truly take up to and how they can actually best up their clients. But in this case, you just have every bank sending in, and you don't know like who the SBA is taking first over another bank, or they're taking the bigger banks, the small banks. Nobody knows. And so, as I want to ask, as business owners, be patient with your banks. Know that they're doing everything to get you the funds that you need. It's just that there are certain things that are completely out of their control. And that's one of them. So once we send it to SBA, we just have to sit back and see if they got to our clients. But no one knows if they're like, let's do 100 of this bank's clients and do 100 of this other. No one knows. It's just an up in the air situation.
Gotcha. Okay. And if a business don't get it, are there other options and routes that, like for Citizens, for example, is trying to help their clients out with?
There are a couple of different routes. So one of the things that we did in terms of upping our clients if they don't get the funds was that we started, so to back up a little bit, before everything came down, we started making calls to our clients to see how they were doing and what we can do to set up for them just to protect them in the event, especially if we knew that they're going to be applying for the PPP. And one of the things that we did, we provided their line, working capital line of credit to help them out bridging expenses and just pay that small interest payment. So if they have a line of credit of like 50,000, the interest payment, especially with the interest rate being 5%, you're looking at $150 a month as opposed to laying off a ton of employees and still being able to pay for expenses. But the one thing, we've done that for clients, and we've also tried to increase it even more for them, in a sense that typically when a business needs 50,000 or more in working capital, the bank is going to ask for 2 years tax returns in terms of their business financials and personal, along with showing their profit and loss and their balance sheet. But for us, we're saying we know this is a tough time. We're not going to put our clients through that. We're just going to increase it for them. And they just have it sit there in the event that they need to use it. And that's what we're doing for current clients. Mind you, if it was for outside clients, they'd have to go through the process.
Right, absolutely.
We're doing that to help out. The other thing that we've also implemented is a short-term loan as well that matches the EIDL, in a sense of offering that rate of around 3.5%, but we're only doing it on a 24-month span. So whatever loan we give clients, we say, okay, we'll give you 3.5%, let's say it's 50,000, and we'll defer the payment for the first 90 days for you. And there's no prepayment, nothing whatsoever. So if you want to pay it off, go ahead and pay it off, you're done. But at least you have something to help you out as we all get back to the normal way of doing business and life. So my best recommendation with that all being said is that ask your bank in terms of if there are any lending solutions that they're doing. I believe they should be. And if they're not, you can reach out to me.
Absolutely. I was going to say, is First Citizens taking on new clients?
We are. So the cool thing is that we're very financially sound and we have a lot of liquidity. And we are actually closing commercial real estate deals for people who are buying real estate. And we are giving away lines of credit. We're not freezing our lending. We're still helping because we know that clients need it. But as I said, there's going to be that requirement of showing paperwork because you're not our client.
Absolutely. Well, and just so everybody knows, we will post in the comments, we will post Odane's contact information. So if you do have questions, if you're looking to switch banks or anything like that, First Citizens is obviously a wonderful bank. And so you can give them a call and he can see how he can help you. So anything else you want anyone to know or that we didn't cover here today?
The best thing I ask is just patience. That's the best thing I'm going to say is be patient with your institution. Like everyone is great for wanting to get new business, but at this time, like for us at First Citizen, we're all hands on deck. Everyone in every branch is doing something to get all the packets through to SBA to help the clients get the funding. We spent last weekend, submitted it. Now, we had a great idea thinking, okay, 250 billion is going to come out. Let's submit more packets to the SBA. It was a great idea until we figured all the other banks were doing it. So it's not so much of a great idea. So just know that once they're doing the best that they can, as I said before, and they want to help you, but just be patient and be mindful that it's not them. They did everything that they can do to send it over to SBA. And if you as a business owner, we know this is a very frustrating time for you, especially for you taking care of your family and also taking care of your employees and their family. So if something were to happen that you got upset at your bank, just let them know, because it's hard for bankers to not be emotional about this when they know how much they're invested in getting their clients help.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm sure, because I know how you treat your clients and everything else, it's very much their family to you and you care about their businesses and everything else. And so, I know you want to see the best for all of your clients. So, well, I appreciate your time today, Odane. Thank you so much for being here. And as I said, we will put Odane's contact information at First Citizen. So if you have questions or you're looking at First Citizens, please reach out to him. So thank you for being here, Odane.
No, thank you for having me. This was actually more fun than I thought. We can do it again.
I've been told worse about talking to me, so it's not a bad thing.
No deal.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye.